Welcome to For Action Takers Only. My name is Todd, and tonight I got Chai from SubTo community. He is a well-known figure in the SubTo community. For all those SubTo, you all know who he is. How's it going, Chai?
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Todd. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you for being on, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. I know you had a little mishap tonight, and I appreciate you accommodating.
Whole thing we just do it out of proportion, but
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know,
okay.
like
We tend to do that with our kids, though. How old is your son? What happened?
got an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old, and we are 8-year-old. If he gets hurt, I mean, I don't really care much anymore. I do, but the 4-year-old is still a tiny one. Like we gotta
So
when
yeah,
he
yeah. Gotta
it's uh,
gotta
it's
be more careful. Yeah.
it's important at that age. But how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I really appreciate you coming on here, taking the time to do this. And so, tell me about yourself. How long you've been in SubTo?
Oh, I've been in SubTo from maybe like in the first couple months we joined. I mean, we were part of me and my partner Prakash. We were both part of Brent Daniels community (TTP) before that, and I think Pace was also part of TTP for a brief like time, but he was already like. Doing so many deals and going on so many podcasts. He was like an upcoming rock star at that time, and everybody was following him. He was on, I think, Steve Trank's podcast. That's when I saw him the first time. And we heard, I think, Wholesaling Inc. was more like an incubator back then for people who want to start mentorships. Uh,
Right.
Pace, Jamil, and these guys. So I think Wholesaling Inc. brought on Pace, if I'm not wrong. I'll have to ask some people if that's how it started, but in my like recollection, I think that's how they started. But before that, he started this community called Creative Finance with Pace Morby on Facebook. It's a huge Facebook group. It's
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
going
In
strong.
that one.
So that's the one I joined, and that's where I think he went around the nation. He was doing Pace and Jamil tour of Texas, tour of different states and different cities, and that's when we first saw him. And it was pretty interesting the way he was pitching SubTo, and nobody had really talked about SubTo the way he did. It was very scientific, very thought like through, and uh, it was basically interesting when it was. I mean, when Pace talks about it. So that's
Right.
how I found out about Pace, and I was then I started following his free group, and then one thing led to another. He started a community, and then one day, I mean, we at that point we were not really looking at SubTo as what it is today.
Uh-huh.
We joined it because we joined one community a year.
Okay.
Right. And our goal was more about, I mean, the goal was to network with new students and learn from their energy and all the new things that newcomers like talk about. So it was more of an opportunity to help newbies and then learn from them what they discuss within the community by going to these events. But the Pace Morby, like being like Pace Morby, he just hit it out of the park. And now I don't even think we have joined any community since we joined SubTo, because SubTo is basically, I mean, SubTo is growing so fast. We we became one of the leaders in SubTo now. We go to. I mean, there is so much happening in SubTo. I mean, it's like its own ecosystem. It
Mm-hmm.
feeds off of like its own members. Everybody has their own role. You can find deals, sell deals, buy deals. You can do everything within SubTo, and now they've started this zero down to
Yeah.
buy businesses, and I mean it's growing in the right direction. I don't really see me joining another community anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, never say never, right?
All right, well, I can't get you to join mine. No,
Oh, for sure, man. Yes.
no, I'm just starting out. I'm just growing it. I'm having a good time with doing the podcast though. So we started a little
Yeah,
group.
it is great. I think podcast is, I mean, I've thought about it. I'm just not maybe as consistent as a lot of people are. And I got a lot going on. We are working on growing our team, and I have a couple other business ventures I'm working on. So until that stabilizes, I'm not really ready to take this to the next level. But I'm happy to go on interviews and put myself out there.
All
Other
right, right. So how long have you been in doing real estate?
Oh, I've been in real estate. I mean, real estate, the way I see it, to be very honest with you, real estate is the only other option to invest your money in America,
Mm-hmm.
aside from the stock market.
Right.
So, and I suck at stock market investing.
I haven't been too good at that either.
I don't think I've ever made any money in stock market. I tried my hand at it back when I was in India and just started to learn about investing when I was in college. I took some of my dad's uh, portfolio to manage, and then it went down the drain
Oh
in
yeah.
the next couple years. Then I came to America. I started working for oil and gas, and then I started managing my own portfolio. I don't think that went very well. So the way look at real estate is something you can touch and feel, more tangible type of assets. And I mean, if you work hard, you're gonna see the return. You don't have to predict what this house is gonna do. I mean, it's pretty easy to predict things as long as you're ready to work at it. So, long story short, to answer your question, really, I mean, I started in real estate the way I'm doing or what I'm doing now in end of 2014, more of 2015 when I
Okay.
took action. But before that, I have invested in real estate. I bought my house. Before I bought my house, I was looking to build my house on a lot with multiple other houses and then sell off the other two, three houses.
Okay.
I bought real estate in India before that. So in a way, like I've been at it since 2010. To be honest with you, that's when I started making money in
Okay.
my life. So the first thing I looked at was real estate investing. But 2010 to 2015, I wasn't much of an investor that I am today. It was
Okay.
more of a side gig, just to park my funds and to grow uh, my net worth, so to say,
Right.
at that time. But it was not a full-time real estate investment career. That started in 2015.
Okay. So what was back in say 2010 and 2015 there weren't all these communities and programs around.
Yeah.
So how did you start out? How did you get in? Did you start with wholesaling?
So I wish they never existed because things were so much simpler. I mean, I'm joking, but I mean, there is so much more to these groups than what it looks like. I mean, I'm learning that every day. But when they did not exist back in 2014, it was like going up to people, successful people, learning from them, talking to them, going to events. That was the most important thing to do. It still is, in my opinion, but back then it was all the more important than, because there was no Facebook groups or there was no way to learn like online in online communities or on Zoom calls and things like that. So when I first started, I joined another community here in Houston called Lifestyles Unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
And I joined that community because one of my family friends told me, and I was like, before, I've told this story 100 times on podcast, but before I joined this community, I was just getting out of another business that didn't work out for me. And I was looking at real estate as, I was just testing the waters in real estate. And someone told me, oh, this is a great area in Houston called Pearland. It's growing. The real estate is cheap. Houses were selling for like 200,000. And back then I owned real estate in India
Okay.
that was renting. It was also a around $150,000 house I owned. It's a condo. In our language, we call it flats. So I owned a flat that was worth 150,000, and that was renting for $300. And this $200,000 house in Pearland was renting for 1650. And I was like, holy shit, is this real? Like, that itself was so exciting to me that I was about to buy that house, until this family friend of mine stopped me, rather slapped my hands in doing that. And then she's like, no, 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 the right way to buy real estate is very different in America. You got to go attend this seminar. And I was like, okay, let's take a look. And so me and another friend of mine, we were talking about it. His name is Bhavin. Him and I, we went to this seminar. It was his family member who told us about it. So him and I went, and we were like, wow, this is like. So they showed us how to buy discounted real estate from wholesalers. I was blown away, like, oh, you can buy $100 piece of property for $70, really? So it was like mind blowing for me, like, okay, I'm never going to buy the house in Pearland anymore, of course. And so it was a very expensive membership, because that was just a trailer. Okay, you can buy a single family house that's worth 200,000 for 140,000, 150,000, and put a tenant in it, and basically all your money comes out and you move on to the next deal. But wait, there is more. There's always more, right? In these seminars. And I was like, okay, what is that? So they were basically teaching. Lifestyles Unlimited is a big community of people that buy multifamily real estate. So they were like, okay, you just learned about single family, how to buy discounted 30, 40, $50,000, great. But now let's talk about how you can go from 30, 40, $50,000 to 100, 500,000, millions of dollars by investing in multifamily. So I joined the multifamily community. That was my goal. I thought I was gonna be able to do multifamily, which I could have, only if I'm still on a visa in this country. And back then I had no, like, my future was so, like, uncertain in this country. I didn't have my green card application in place or anything. So on a visa, taking so many investors money and leading that investment into a multifamily project, what if I get kicked out of this country because something happens? I was very worried about those things. So I didn't really, I mean, I tried really hard. I learned everything about multifamily, but I never really tried my hand at it by running a project. So I automatically gravitated towards single family because it was my own. I can still own it even if I'm in another country. It was a lot more flexible. So I started going down that rabbit hole instead of multifamily. But then it got so much better over time. I never really had to look into multifamily. So uh, going going from like multifamily mindset to single family mindset and picking up properties at a discounted price is what basically uh, like got me going. And then I was like, okay, how are these wholesalers even finding these properties? Because first time I bought a property, this wholesaler made like 10, 15,000 off of my purchase. And I was like, oh, wow, that's great. Maybe I can do that too. And then the next time wholesaler came through, he made like 30 grand off of my purchase. I was like, I mean, I got to learn that. So I went from an investor to that. And because there were no Facebook groups, because all this was not so saturated, I was able to send 300 letters, okay? 300 letters and buy a property off of that. That made me like 90 grand over 3 years,
Oh, wow.
because 300 letters were able to get me 10 phone calls and one property purchase. But so I did that, and then I built enough courage to send 500 letters. And then um,
How much did 300 letters cost you back when you were starting doing this? And that's how you started. You didn't cold call.
84 cents each.
84 cents each.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Now these letters I think cost pretty much like 50 cents. Back then they were more expensive.
Right. So you started with selling or sending out letters. That's how you got started, sending out letters to get your
Yeah,
leads.
pretty much.
Oh, wow.
I got one house, then I sent 500, then I sent another 500. Every time I was getting one house, and like first time I got a house at 70%, second time I got a house at 50%, third time I got a house at almost 45%. And I was like, what is this thing? Like, this is insane. I mean, 3 times I do that, I've doubled my salary in a year. I mean, it was so easy. But I wish I had, I mean, I wish a lot of things. I wish I had gotten into multifamily back then, because where multifamily was when I started to now, I would have been in a different place.
Huh.
But again, there is always a learning curve. You don't blame your actions in the past. You look forward. I mean, that's what you do, right? At the end
Right.
of,
We learn from our mistakes. That's
oh yeah, absolutely.
I just writing a script on how we got to start looking at failure, especially getting into this stuff. I've been thinking a lot about mindset and failures, and we can't look at it the same way as we used to. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, I learned so much. I'm so much. I mean, if I had started I was talking to someone yesterday. Hey, what if I never started in single family, and if I directly got into multifamily the way lifestyle showed me, I would have been in a different place, but I would have never understood how to navigate the market the way I know now, and the way multifamily is going down today. I would have been miserable for all I know, if I didn't, if I was not able to navigate, if I were in a different place. So I mean, I think everything happens for a reason. So now I'm looking into multifamily. When the multifamily world comes back, I mean, the whole opportunity comes back
Mm-hmm.
next year, I think that will happen. I'll be so much, I mean, I'll be in a much better place to start. I'll be in a place where I can take down much bigger projects compared to what I could have done back then. So, I mean, the whatever mistakes happen in the past, they always teach you, and they just make you a stronger person that you are today.
All right, they sure do. So you're starting to delve into multifamily then.
I did multifamily along the way,
Okay.
but not the way I was taught to do by lifestyles.
Okay.
So after I learned the whole cold calling with Brent Daniels, then SubTo with Pace, uh, I we had a seller of a house that was worth like 170, and she was so adamant about getting 130 on it. Was not a good deal at all, until she, like, in her passing comments said, oh yeah, I have this another property I'm looking to sell. It's like 180 unit apartment complex in Beaumont. And that's when our eyes were like, are you serious? Okay. And back then, when we, like, now that I think about it, I think we were too naive to think that we can take it down. But because we were naive, we were able to contract that apartment complex, and then it went through a lot of ups and downs. But we did take it down. We did hit it out of the park, and that put us on the map big time. So we went from single family wholesalers to multi-family wholesalers. I don't know of any wholesaler in the nation who has done this. I mean, I'm yet to see someone do 200 unit apartment complex wholesale deal. So usually apartment complexes go to these big brokers like Marcus Millichap, JLL, or any other big box chains.
Mm-hmm.
uh, they hardly ever go to wholesalers. But I don't know like what these people saw in us, but they gave us the opportunity and we came through, and we were able to do really, I mean, good by them. I mean, this guy was on the literally on his deathbed by when he signed the papers at the end, and he was very happy that we were able to complete the transaction and take care of his wife after him. So it got pretty emotional at the end of the day, but overall great experience. So we not only took it down, we also kept so it was split over two campuses. So we kept one campus to ourselves and then sold off another campus. And even in that wholesale deal of selling that campus to someone else, we made such good friends for life that those investors that purchased from us are now, like, we partner up on a lot of deals. Because of them, we found so much opportunity. We met a lot of people. I mean, it's just that deal was a pretty big deal that created a lot of, like, I mean, lot of attention, and that attention gave us a lot of opportunity.
All right. So, excuse me.
So I did do multifamily at the end of the day.
You did. And so,
Yeah.
so you wholesaled though multifamily. That's what you said. I haven't heard anybody doing that. So
Yeah, I mean, I've heard, yeah, people do 10, 20 units, but not 200 unit deals.
200 units,
Yeah.
wholesale 200 units, all in one swap, one deal.
No, it was, so we have like two interviews with Brent Daniels talking about all the steps of it. But yeah, it went like, it was two separate campuses. So one went in, like, we did a wholesale to one group.
Okay.
Another one we did I mean, we wholesaled that to our partnership. We took the wholesale fee upfront, and then we went into that deal, then bought it back from our partnership, and then sold it again on a wholesale. So it was a pretty interesting deal.
All right. So I see you're doing a bunch of podcasts here, or you did one with JJ not too long ago about the
Yeah,
blueprint for leaving the W-2.
W-2 to full time. Yep.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What's a
So,
good way to go for
I
that?
mean, the reason I picked that, I mean, JJ was asking me, "Hey, what do you want to talk about?" And I mean, people have talked about every. I mean, he has like what, 100 episodes or something.
Oh, yeah, he's got a lot.
People have talked about everything, like possibly you can possibly talk about. So I was like, hey, why not? Why don't I talk about W-2 to full time real estate investing, because
Mhm.
it's different in my case, and I know a lot of people, especially Indian people, people coming from India, immigrants, or rather, not just from India, from any other country, who are looking to get into real estate. And there is a bunch of them, believe me.
Mhm.
They think there is so much in their way, but it's really not. You just have to have the mindset for it. It's a mindset thing.
Okay. Yeah.
If you don't have the mindset to, like, break the barriers, you're always going to think, oh, this visa is in my way, or oh, I have two kids, I can't go out of the house, that's in my way, or I mean, how can I leave my job, then what's going to take care of my family, and my wife like is going to be under pressure if I try to do two jobs. I mean, there is all kinds of reasons you can come up with, but you just have to, I mean, you just have to do it and then handle your problems. Like, take, if you're, I mean, for example, this is probably the most common thing most people will say, that by them being out of the, like, husband or wife, whoever is the driver of these things, if they are out of the house, the other spouse is going to be under a lot of pressure, especially if they have kids.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, what I did, and one of my bosses, like when I first joined Schlumberger, he was just going from an engineer to a manager role, and it was a crazy, crazy busy role that everybody has to go through, like, to step up their career. Okay, it's pretty common in any big corporate. Like, you have to, for the same salary, you have to take like twice or thrice as much responsibility before they will actually promote you to the next level. So
Okay.
he was in that role, and he told me, hey, look, I'm going to be in this office every day until like 9 p.m. But before I took on this role, I had a sit down conversation with my wife. I told her that this is what I'm going to do. And I mean, this is going to make things uncomfortable in the house. And for you to have a good life, or for and our kids to have a good life, this is something I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you approach it very methodically, everything can be resolved. If you don't, like, basically, your entire life, your business, your job, your relationships with business partners, students, people you meet, it's all about managing expectations at the end of the day. So W2 to full-time real estate investing is all about managing in expectations.
Okay.
So I started down this path, and then things started to get busy. I went from a hobby investor to not full-time but part-time serious investor. And that's when I had a sit down conversation with my wife. I told her, look, things are going to get much worse before they will get better.
Mm-hmm.
This was exact sentence I told my wife. I think that was the biggest thing. That, I mean, I see a lot of people, they can't even save their marriages because of their passion. Their
Mm-hmm.
passion is in the way of their marriage, and that's so sad that they just failed to manage expectations.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that things are like super, like, happy in my house every day. That never happens.
Oh, come
But
on now.
yeah, but I mean, you manage these things, right? Like, every day. I mean, I just had to pull out of my family time to come do this podcast,
Yeah.
because I, like, failed you. And I told my wife, hey, if I can't, like, go and finish this, I'm not the man you like, really. So I mean, this is, at the end of the day, I feel like going from W2 to full-time real estate investing, the journey is is more fun than the results. Okay, so when you approach something methodically, and then succeed you by using your own methods, that is the fulfillment. I
Yeah.
mean, I just entered into a room and somebody handed me $1 million check is not going to make me happy, because I didn't do shit to deserve that.
Mm-hmm.
If I went into the room and saw handed, someone handing someone else a check for their uh, achievements, I want to put a method in my life to achieve that, then get that check, not, like, I mean, get something for nothing. So in my opinion, that journey is very important for a lot of people to hear. Unfortunately, it ended up being where we didn't talk a lot about that, because there were different questions on
Mm-hmm.
that podcast. But all in all, I mean, I'm happy to talk about it on your podcast another time, if you like.
Oh
uh,
yeah.
but I feel like I had lot more hurdles than a common American person. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. This is not a rocket science. That's what I want to show people. This is not a rocket science. You don't have to be super smart. You don't have to be you don't have to come from money for sure. If Pace teaches one thing, that is it. Like you, wealth without cash flow. That's the name of his book.
Yeah.
Like, what else can it be, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's what we talked about for the most part.
So is your business still focused mainly around wholesale then?
Wholesaling was never our focus.
Oh, okay. It wasn't.
So wholesaling was a mechanism to build wealth.
Okay.
Okay, so wholesaling was to pick up properties at a discount, because when you see wholesalers like make money,
Mhm.
you see them, okay, 10,000, 5,000, 15,000. But once in a while that apartment deal does happen. Once in a while you do get properties at 30, 40%.
Mhm.
So that once in a while makes it worth your while doing the direct to seller marketing, and picking up properties that way. So now we have come to a point where our marketing cannot support us anymore. So we do buy from outside wholesalers a lot. So we have different ways of doing that. We have exclusive relationship with some wholesalers. So we provide them resources, because we have realized our strengths, and our strength is not marketing.
Mhm.
However, we haven't put a stop to it. We are still learning. We are still putting things in place. And marketing is a very volatile uh, thing. Like today, I mean, so going back to 2015, when I told you I sent 300 letters,
Mhm.
fast forward to 2018, when I actually decided to make it official and put an LLC together to do wholesaling on a bigger scale, I sent 4,000 letters, and not a single deal came out of it. I mean, forget about these. I got less than 10 calls out of 4,000 letters,
4,000 letters.
because it was so saturated. Think about it. Like, Facebook groups had happened before, like in between that time frame. So
Mhm.
groups made the knowledge travel so much faster than what it used to be. So everybody knew everything, and letters was the primary way of getting properties back then. So
Mhm.
everybody was doing letters. Like sellers were getting 10 letters compared to 3 letters. So that was so saturated. And now, I mean, from 2018 to 2023, everything, like the news travels much faster.
Right.
So if you think that, okay, cold calling is the next best thing, and you start, by the time you start cold calling, it is over. That the seasonality is so, like the seasons change so fast. That's my favorite thing these days to say to everybody, that wholesaling, buy and hold, fix and flip, sub to, no matter what you do in real estate, the real estate has become so much more seasonal that you have to have one eye on the future while you're doing what you're doing right now, because this may end tomorrow. You
Right.
have to switch gears like tomorrow. You have to be ready for it. That doesn't mean you don't get started. You get started with something, like make sure everything's going your way, make
Mhm.
that one thing successful, like build enough courage, and then try the new strategy.
Okay.
So I think
Well, what would you tell somebody starting out? Hey, you're starting out. They're focused. Hey, I'm going to do wholesaling.
they can, I mean, if someone's looking to do wholesaling today,
Mhm.
I'm not the best advisor for wholesaling, because I am not keeping up with a lot of things.
Okay.
But if you have to start wholesaling, I think calling pre foreclosures is probably the fastest way to success,
Mhm.
because the sellers are ready, there is buyers ready, and there is a lot of people, especially in SubTo community. Even if you're not part of SubTo community, you can connect with SubTo students pretty much anywhere on the planet. In my opinion, it's
Right.
just crazy right now. SubTo is so popular, especially in America. Any city you go to has a SubTo group. You can connect with people so much faster. So if you are connecting, if you are marketing to pre-foreclosures and then connecting with SubTo students, I think SubTo students can help you or handhold you the rest of the way uh, to your paycheck. I think pre-foreclosures is the best way to find success.
That's
However, if you are looking to just find cash buyers,
mm-hmm.
that happens in most communities too. But you have to like then focus on your list and perfect your niche in a way. So I mean, we personally focus on anything above. I mean, anything above 30% equity
Okay,
for cash deals.
for
And
cash.
yeah,
So
so hired landlords, free and clear, vacant properties. I think vacant properties is probably the most popular. If I
okay.
have one, yep.
So how are you finding your leads these days if you're not sending out letters?
Oh, we are just, I mean, like this. This is the way I'm finding
You
property.
have people coming to you now, huh? They bring you.
Yeah.
You develop those relationships, and
So before, I mean, we were always focused on networking for sure, and that's one of the reasons why we joined all these mentorships.
mm-hmm.
But when we joined SubTo and the way SubTo was growing, we actually joined couple mentorships while we were in SubTo as well. In the first couple years, we were not focused a lot on SubTo, and then we started like, I mean, at you reach a like saturation point, right? Like we were getting so many people sending us deals, and also like a lot of bad deals. So we
Mm-hmm.
had to call these people and explain them over the phone, hey, look, you just sent me an address. Like you can't just send me an address. I know all the addresses in America. I have access to Google Maps. Come on.
Right.
So then it was a lot of learning curve in that, where you have to get on and babysit every wholesaler and explain them how to send leads, what is a lead, is it, or and what is a deal, so what the difference is. So that education led me to thinking that, I mean, why am I helping one person at a time? And that's when I approached Pace. Hey, look, I think there is nobody in your community doing underwriting.
Mm-hmm.
How about I just do free underwriting for your students? And he was like, oh, that's a great idea. Let me see if I have a spot. And then in 2 days, he was texting me, hey, I got a spot open on Saturday. Do you want to do it? And it became so popular so fast that Pace ended up hiring a full-time underwriter who does underwriting every day now.
Mm-hmm.
And we still have our podcast on top of that. I'm sorry, our Zoom calls on top of that. So that also, like, that apartment complex was what happened in Brent Daniels mentorship, and then this Zoom call is what happened in Pace's mentorship. That really took our career to the next level. So now we are getting so many students bringing their deals to us, to you, to tell them whether it's a good or bad deal. And
Mm-hmm.
then what's next? Who's going to buy this? Okay, do you want it? Sure. So we don't have to, I mean, so by, I didn't think, before that I didn't think of, like, I didn't think how powerful giving free information can be.
Mm-hmm.
So by, and now, I mean, see, after that we started on, we got another slot on Pace's calendar, which we stopped now. But all this outreach, all this helping people in and talking opportunities or speaking opportunities in the events, that's basically the way of me marketing for my business. And again, I don't even look at it as marketing. I really just enjoy talking to people, sharing my experiences. And I mean, what happens, what comes out of it is the opportunity. And
Right.
that's amazing how that works.
It is. It really is. So, what are your future plans? What are you looking to do in the future?
So 2023 was pretty clear to me in my head what I'm going to do with all the SubTos, and we have put really, really key partnerships in place this year. We entered into one, two, and possibly third partnership. If those, I mean, two of those partnerships I know are taking off big time, and then there is uh, I'm all about like growing with the right partner.
Mm-hmm.
So we are like trying to set partnerships in different cities and different places and for doing different things. So the third partnership is still a discussion, or rather work in progress. But I may have to focus on those partnerships next year. However, what's unclear in my head right now is the strategy to focus on my current business
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't have any partnership. That is slightly unclear, but I keep thinking that we'll be successful doing more cash deals next year, because I talked about this on another podcast recently, and this guy was asking me like, how do you, I mean, decide what the market's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are in the industry for so long, you kind of know the pulse of the industry,
Okay.
and you kind of get the, I mean, you see these red flags before everyone else, or
Okay.
you see the green flags before everyone else, right? So 2021, everybody was just printing money in real estate. Realtors were doing great. Like realtors literally just had to list it on the market and turn their phones off and turn it on tomorrow morning just to see like 15 offers and
Mm-hmm.
put them on a bidding war. Sellers didn't have to like take it or leave it. I mean, I don't care. There is no kitchen in the house. Do you still want it? Sure.
Yeah, I want
So
it.
it was like that, right? So all the sellers of the houses that had like $500,000 properties thought the property is worth $1 million. $200,000 owners thought their property is worth $500,000. So the reality actually, I mean, matched their expectation back then. And
Mm-hmm.
this is my very like common way to explain when me and my wife argue about something. Hey, this is reality and this is expectation. You
Yeah.
need to come down here, then we can talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if your expectation is here and reality is here, that difference is called stress, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
The market was so stressed in 2022 that like yesterday my property was worth $1 million, and the wholesaler is going to the seller telling me, oh no, your now market's changed, your property is not even worth 500, it's worth 400 now. Are you kidding me? No, it was worth $1 million yesterday, my friend told me.
Right.
That was what sellers were thinking. So 2022, end of 2022, and then 2023, it was almost impossible to explain to a seller that your property is not worth what you think it is worth. So if I as a wholesaler need to like, this is the reality and this is where the seller is, I can only bring them here when I'm making them wholesale offers.
Right.
I need them here. So unless the reality and expectations match, I cannot negotiate with them.
Right.
But now, like end of 2023, sellers understand that they are not in the same market they were in. They are like here. They are at, I mean, they understand what the reality is. So
Mm-hmm.
now is a perfect time to actually hit them with lower offers. This
Okay.
is when they will actually take it. And I mean, I'm not saying lower offer, by lower offer, I don't mean like, I mean, steal their houses for pennies on the dollar, but you can make them realistic offers by making using a wholesale calculation. And I think there is a very high probability that it's going to get accepted. So I think in 2024, if anybody were to focus on wholesale opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
I think there will find a lot of success for cash deals. Sub 2 is still going to do well. Sub 2 is always going to do well. Uh, However, if the interest rates come down, the properties may sell, or properties may go up in value. So there may be we may enter into a different market where the sellers will not be in so much distress. So right now in 2023, because a lot of sellers were upside down, I mean, sub 2 offer getting accepted was pretty easy.
Right.
So sub 2 wholesalers may face a hard time, a bit of a hard time compared to what it is now, but it's still going to work. Okay, there will be a lot of sellers who will be open to structuring their deals in a different way, using sub 2 seller finance or any other options. They will be presented, but I think the cash deals are going to hit it out of the park in 2024.
Okay.
And on top of cash deals, the second thing I'm personally focusing on is, in fact, I'm going to talk about that on my Saturday call, is multifamily.
Okay.
Multifamily, I mean, people in the sub 2 world or the wholesaling single family world, I don't think they can understand the depth of misery that is going through the multifamily world right now. It's just insane. There is almost $1 trillion debt coming up for renewal. So, and
On
I'm going to
multifamily
talk about
property.
on, sorry,
On multifamily properties.
on multifamily properties, because the way
Mm.
multifamily works in single family world, okay, before I talk about multifamily, in single family world, you buy a property, you fix it up, then you put a tenant in it, you refinance if you have hard money loan, or you put a financing if you purchased cash. But when you put that second, like, or first long term financing, the difference between multifamily and single family is that single family actually gives you, the lenders usually give you a 30-year fixed loan, fixed interest loan. Multifamily, on the other hand, usually go for 5, 7, 10-year fixed loans at the most. Like 10 is rare.
Okay.
Okay, 5 is probably the most common.
Mm-hmm.
So when that, because in their mind, or not their mind, in general, in multifamily world, everybody is looking to sell off that property and go into a new project within 5 years,
Okay.
because they have raised money from investors. Single family is usually one person buying one property, or maybe two, three friends come together or partners and buy it.
Okay.
In multifamily world, you got hundreds of investors who invested money in your deal, and you are the basically the steward of that deal. You are the lead investor, general principal, a general partner, or key principal, whoever you are the person running the deal. It's not all your money in the deal. You're not the 100% owner of that deal. You're probably not even 10% owner of that deal sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But you make money with royalties. And if you don't have a lot of money in the deal, you don't really make money until you sell the deal, and neither your investors. So when your investors are investing with you, you need to show them returns. So 5 years later, you need to sell that deal off and pay them back and create a reputation that will basically bring you more investors. So it's a very different game. I mean, there are people that will end up keeping the deal for long term if their investors choose to stay with them for the long haul, but
Mm-hmm.
it hardly ever happens, because you can't tell hundreds of people, oh, your money is going to stay in this deal for 30 years and I'm going to keep paying you 10-20% returns. You cannot tell that to hundreds of people. I mean, if
Right.
it's 2 or 3, if you and me do the deal and we can come on the same page very quickly, but you can't expect that from a group of hundreds of people. So works very differently. So when a multifamily deal is structured, usually people get a 5-year fixed debt. So right now, 5 years ago, whoever did a deal, or 3 years ago, depending on their debt structure, if their interest rate was 3% when they got the deal, to now where it's at 8%,
Mm-hmm.
they thought they could sell it, but the person buying the deal today has to use the 8% debt, and nobody is going to buy their deal. So the
Right.
best option they have is to refinance their debt. And
Okay.
in order to refinance, they are going to have to increase their monthly payment, because the interest rate went from 3-4% to 7-8% now. So multifamily investors who bought very slim deals are facing a, a huge problem. In fact, a lot of these multifamily may go into foreclosure, and that's when there will be a lot of opportunity. When that happens, that's why they call it like $1 trillion debt is coming up for renewal. A
Right.
trillion, that's a lot of money.
That is, and they're saying that it's not only with like multifamily, single family, but it's also commercial properties too are coming
Yeah,
into.
commercial multifamily, yeah.
Yeah.
Wherever you have a large group of investors, syndicate or investing in a syndication, it's that problem is everywhere, and that is everything except single family around you.
Well, I
So huge
I,
problem.
I saw something. I don't remember where I saw it, and I don't remember who was talking about it. But there was I think a seminar coming up talking about turning like office buildings because they're having problem people coming back to the office after COVID. A lot of people can still work at home, so they want to turn office buildings into housing somehow.
Yeah, there is an affordable housing crisis on
Mhm.
one side, and there
Yeah.
is empty office buildings. I think that makes perfect sense. In fact, I won't be surprised if they start turning warehouses into housing down the road.
Well, they
And
did that before. That was back in I remember in the 80s, like people buying warehouses to set them up as, cool loft places. And then
oh yeah,
then it became popular and then they became real expensive, all over the place downtown. And I think it's going to kind of go through that cycle again.
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what do you see with like the job market and everything happening? I mean, like you said, with foreclosures, the market here lately has just seemed to have been all over the place. It seems to
Yeah,
be shifting quickly.
right now the latest CPI came in. The inflation report came in pretty strong.
Yeah.
So people are expecting the interest rates to normalize, but the way they have been putting a lid on this problem, now
Hmm.
they have another problem on their hands, and this is going to go in cycles, in my opinion, and these cycles are going to be much shorter than, like, you're not gonna you may see like 2008 happened, then nothing happened for 10 years, but
Hmm.
now you may see every 3-4 years things start to go up and down. And I think with the way they controlled interest rates, they may have found a solution how to control the economy. uh, and people will still find a way around it, investors will,
Hmm.
especially. However, if they drop the interest rate suddenly, they are going to create a hurricane in the market, because then there will be a sudden sudden activity in the market. Investors are going to rush to buy properties. That's going to shoot the prices up. It's all, they know these things. That's they're probably going to be more wiser this time
I hope
in.
so.
So yeah, and I just hope this COVID type thing doesn't happen again.
Oh, that would be horrible. I'm
Yeah,
wondering. I mean, what are your thoughts for 2024 with the election coming up? I mean, how
so
crazy things are
with
going
the elections coming up, I'm pretty sure that they are gonna make all their vote bank happy. The
to? Yeah.
interest rate, this is the start of doing that. the way CPI is calculated, if you ever looked at the algorithm or the calculation, how CPI is calculated, it
Mhm.
is so flawed, in my opinion. Uh, but again, I'm only, maybe I only read a few articles that are against the calculation. Maybe there are some in the favor.
Right.
They don't have a calculation, so to say. They ask people how they are feel, whether they are feeling, uh, what they're feeling about the current, like, prices in the market, like restaurant or gas. And based on the opinion of people, I think they calculate the CPI, and I think that's the flawed part from what I know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if that is the case, then this is, I mean, the way I think the reason they have presented lower numbers of inflation is, that is the preparation for election, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I agree. I tend to agree. So, how many creative and sub two deals are you doing on a regular basis? You getting quite a
I
few?
would say maybe five is our average on a monthly basis.
About
Some
five.
months are higher, yeah. And then we also, so with my experience in single family over the years, what I got out of it compared to what, I mean, what would I would have never seen this side if I were to go in multifamily, is the creative aspect of single family.
Mm-hmm.
And we have learned to apply that everywhere. So now our focus is a lot more on buying creative deals and structuring them in our favor. I mean, we do a lot of seller finance deals. When back then, someone if someone had told me seller finance, I would have laughed at them, like, why would a seller give you their house on a 30-year loan at 0%? Are you kidding me? Like,
Mm.
that would have been my response. But now I see that every day. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I just, this year alone, I mean, I have probably $700,000-800,000 debt I contracted on a 0% interest. So,
Really?
oh yeah.
Oh wow.
So that happens a lot more than you think.
Huh.
So that is my focus primarily, because think about it. If someone gave you a $500,000 debt at 0% for
Mm-hmm.
30 years, that means they gave you a 50% discount on their house.
Right.
If you run your numbers, people don't realize that. People don't even understand the importance of 0% and how important it is to keep that deal. I understand a lot of wholesalers are not in a position to keep deals because of the entry fee and other things that come with it.
Mm-hmm.
So in your, like, career initially, I understand if you don't have a focus on holding the deals, but long term, holding the deals is going to make you wealthy or make your life easier. You're not chasing the money every day. The deals will, like, send you a paycheck monthly. So yeah, that's gonna be the goal. That's gonna be something we are gonna focus on, trying to find cheaper deals and structure them creatively.
Yeah. 2024. Huh.
Yes.
Looking forward to it. It's coming
Oh,
quick.
yeah, so much. I know this 2023
Yeah.
fast, so
It
fast.
it flew by. It definitely flew by. But we're at an hour, man. So I'm gonna let you get back to your family. I know you had to take some time away from your family. So I'm gonna let you get back to it. And I want to continue this conversation another time. I was saying a couple of
Absolutely,
months
yeah.
to get back on.
No, I really enjoyed the flow of this conversation. I have to say that
Yeah.
in lot of, again, I mean, every interview has its own flavors, but this one I think went really smoothly.
Yeah.
Uh, so
Thank you. I like to do that. I like to just have a conversation, just try to keep it a natural conversation. I don't like to do. I first started doing them, and I was like trying to think up of questions to ask all the time. Well,
yeah,
just let the conversation flow. It seemed to be a little tighter when I was trying to plan it all out.
no, thank you so much for having me again. I appreciate that, man.
No,
Great.
man, I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you doing this, and I look forward to talking to you more and seeing you at more of the functions. And I appreciate you all you do that for the community too.
And where is this podcast live usually? I mean, not live. Where is
I
it
put
on?
it on, it's going to be on YouTube and Spotify, and it'll eventually be on Apple. It takes a little longer to go on Apple, but yeah,
Oh,
I'll have them on all three.
awesome.
Yeah, the audio, Apple is only audio, so and I don't know why Apple is so long to download, but I've kind of gotten a little behind on loading them up to Apple. I just usually mostly Spotify and YouTube.
Okay.
But if you want to, I can send you a full copy. I use a little
Oh, no, no, I'll wait for it to come up on YouTube.
yeah, and
But
then
yeah,
you download it or whatever. But I'll probably put it up either tonight if I stay up or in the morning because I got to do a couple things, make a thumbnail, do all that kind of stuff, you know.
awesome.
Oh, and if you have any links, anything, your business, please send me or I have your email. Any
Yep.
links you want to put in the description for you to promote anything you need.
I mean, people need to find me usually on Facebook and Instagram is what I prefer. Send me a DM,
Okay.
and or I'll also shoot you my email address. It's info@stepuphomebuyers.com.
Info. Okay. So I'll put all that in the description. Your IG, your Facebook, and your info email.
Yep. Thank you, man.
Thank you, man. You have an excellent night.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm
Thank
going to end the recording, and then I gotta have to ask you to wait to hang out for a little bit. It might need to download.
you. Yeah.